Welcome to Into the Mind of a Madman with your host, me, the Madman. Our parents raised us flawed, and I'm here to stop the cycle. The cycle is, as children, we look at our parents as these superheroes. We look at our parents as the ones who love us the most, the ones who's willing to put it all on the line for our well-being. As teenagers, and let me put some context to what I mean by teenagers. Teenagers is not necessarily 13 on to 19. I'm talking about a range of 9, 10, 11. The range of understanding, like you kind of understand what's going on in the world to where you could be explained certain things and you have some comprehension, you know? So when I speak on teenagers, I'm referring to more so 9, 10, 11 on up until 21, 22, 23. That's kind of like what I mean by the time. This is just a time frame. And then as adults, far as you're out on your own after you went to college or whatever, you just out in the work world, you're financially dependent on yourself. You may have kids at this point, you have a job or career. You pretty much just moving as your adult self. You know, is no more dependency of your parents. And the end of the cycle is when you're about 35 to 40, or, you know, whenever you're into your adulthood, you have your family, and the cycle of you having your own kids and you raising them, and how you start to correlate the ways of how your parents raised you versus how you're now raising your kids. And you start to see, oh, so this is what they had to endure and this is what they had to go through. And then at that point, it's like you come full circle. You get what I'm saying? But what I want to say is the flaw to me in how our parents raised us comes into major play in our teenage years. You know what I'm saying? In the years of where we can somewhat grasp the idea of how life works. And the flaw is our parents try to protect us from the adult aspect of life and everything that has all the choices they have to make for us as the kid to live a good life or live the life that they would want for us. They shield us from everything that they have to do and everything they have to endure so we can live this life of innocence. I believe they shouldn't shield us as much. They should share with us way more than shield us, because at the time when we actually start going through it ourselves, like in our the adult life, as when we're like the older adult life, when we're raising our own family, it starts to click to us. But at that point, we already feel the way how we feel about our parents. So now it's like this big adjustment, like, man, if I really understood all you were really going through, I probably wouldn't have held it against you, or I probably wouldn't have felt a way towards you as I do now. And now I have to change it because you sheltered me to a certain point, and I only could see it a certain way. Alright, so that's the premise of this show. So let's rewind it back to the beginning. As children, we're born into this world, and we look at our parents as these superheroes. We think they're the perfect people because they love us and they buy us what we want. Sometimes they don't or whatever, but we feel like, hey, we living good. You know what I'm saying? And it's no other reference point. You know what I'm saying? Because whether it be a single household, a single parent household, or it be your grandmother or whatever you raised into, you just grasp of the person who's guiding you. There's always in your corner, and they're always there to support you. So you look at them as the greatest thing. So now, where the flaw comes in, like I said, we get to teenagers, and we start seeing the world for ourselves in a certain instance, and we start understanding more. So once we start to go down this teenage process, in these young adult process, we need more guidance in the real reality of life. But as parents, when you go through financial issues, when you go through relationship issues, you tend to shelter us off because you feel like that burden shouldn't be on us. And the only way I can tell you that I think you should parent to break the cycle is more so, don't make it personal to you if you feel like your kid will look at certain things in a less innocent way. You don't want your kid to be so innocent because we are already looking at you as perfect. So now when we get our teenage years and we start grasping of I want certain things out of life for myself, and I have to go to you for it. You don't want them to feel like, yo, I can't get it from you, so I have to make my own way. And, growing up in that particular environment, there are things that you do start as a kid. You may start stealing or selling drugs or entering the wrong crowd just because you feel like you can't rely on your parent. And because from a kid's point of view is, listen, you're an adult, you're my parent, I didn't ask to be here, I want certain things out of life, and it may be like sneakers and clothes or money or a cell phone or a new tablet or whatever it is, because your biggest concern is fitting in with the cool kids or being a boy or girl and want to impress the opposite sex of someone you like or same sex or whatever. It's not a preference show. It's not that. But whatever you like, you want to try to impress, and you don't want to come off as this kid who has nothing and you feel inferior around your peers, is what I guess I want to say. And when we go to our parents, the one who's providing for us, when we want certain things and you can't necessarily provide it at the moment, or you can't provide it right, like even like in the near future, because you have bills and you have to, there are other things of more importance going on. We don't necessarily understand that. We just see you're the provider, you're the one I go to. If I need this, I need to have it. If I want this, I want to have it. And you're just telling me no, or you're telling me not right now. We don't understand that you have to work 2 jobs just to get by. You know what I'm saying? We may see you working 2 jobs, and to us, that means you have the money. But we don't have the understanding of, yes, you work 2 jobs, but you only make $17 or $12 or $15 or $25, and the government, they take taxes out, and before you birthed us, you had tax issues because you didn't pay the taxes. So you owe more tax, you know what I'm saying, from past years, that you trying to clean up your credit so you can move to a better place. You have a card note. You decided to pay for health care, like before Obamacare, it wasn't necessarily that you had to have health care. From your job. But so if you opted in to get health care for your parents, from your job, so you wouldn't have to take your kid to the free clinic every time they got sick, and you ain't got to wait an hour in line, and you could just you could pay for health care however much that is out your check, and you can go to this private doctor where you'll be in and out in 20-30 minutes versus going to the free clinic and staying in there for an hour just before you can even be seen. You know what I'm saying? We don't understand the delegation of money and bills and why you have to work 2 jobs, and the fact that the kids that we may see who may present to have more may be getting help in other, like their parents may be getting help in other ways, or you may just be a citizen to where you want to not necessarily sell drugs, sell your body to make extra money. You rather be one of those 9-to-5 straight and narrow parents, so you don't put yourself in a position to be shot and killed in the streets or go to jail because you're doing illegal things. You're not necessarily about to go out here and rob a bank to buy your son or daughter some new Jordans. You get what I'm saying? So to buy $150 shoes that come out Saturday, you might not have it because you decided to get, like I said, to get health care, taking out your check. So when you get sick, you have coverage. But we don't understand the grasp of, I didn't go to college, or I had to get an entry-level job and work my way up, so I'm only making a certain amount of money. And once taxes come out, once food is put on the table, once light bill is paid, and you have cable, and you have cars, and car insurance, and you paying, like I said, you paying life insurance, all of these things, and you trying to send your kid to the best school. You have to put clothes and shoes. You may not have money to do extracurricular activities, so you have to work 2 jobs just so I could pay the bills and you could still play football or basketball because you want to go on a traveling AAU team. So I have to pay for uniforms, I have to pay for sneakers, I have to pay for your room and board when you're traveling with these teams. Or I have to pay for your private schooling if I want to do that. It's like so many things kids don't even understand that is going on when they're capable of understanding. At a teenage year, you're capable of understanding certain things. So my thing is, why not sit down with your son and daughter or however many kids you have and tell them, listen, the job I have is only paying me this. So at the end of the week, when I work 40 hours, I'm only bringing home this. And this is how much rent is. This is how much this is. So I'd rather delegate it to these things, and on the second check, when not the non-rent check, but the second check of the month, I can get you that. Or since it's for y'all, that's why I can't necessarily buy you the $100 sneakers because y'all all four need sneakers. So I don't want to get you the $100 sneakers and then have to get your little brother or sister the $25 sneakers. It'll be taken in better to me because, like I said, once we get of the adult age of now we're taking care of our own kids, now we have the reflection of, oh, this is how hard it is. This is how hard you gotta work. Or, oh, I'm working 2 jobs now, trying to provide for my family. Imagine what my mother had to do. Imagine what my father had to do. Not including the vices, the relationship process. I'm not talking about just money. I'm talking about the vices you deal with. You may have a drug problem. You may have a drinking problem. Because something happened in your life to where you felt like that was your outlet. Now we only see you as somebody who drinks and smokes, and that's my mom or dad or whatever. And when we get older, we start partying, we start getting in these relationships, and things might not go as right, and then we may want something to cope, and we start coping the same way. Smoking cigarettes, doing drugs, drinking, whatever hard drug, soft drug, weed, heroin, coke, whatever we get into, we have vices. And now, like I said, as an adult, and we start being out here in this life, we start understanding that, oh, this is what my parents were probably going through that made them drink. But as kids, we are going from looking at you as these perfect people to now when we're teenagers and we're starting to grasp a little bit more life, at the time when you should be feeding us in this information, you still shielding us from it. So now we just looking at you like, oh, she just rather drink and smoke. My mom rather drink and smoke. My dad rather drink and smoke. So that's why I can't get what I want for school or need for school or what I want to fit in with the cool kids. So then we grow up with this resentment, or we grow up with these attitudes toward our parents. And then, like I said, we become these adults once we get out of high school or college or whatever, and we start living these life and we start getting hooked on these things. But then, like I said, after that, we start having our own family, and then the realization comes in, which we should have been. It's like a big 180, you know what I'm saying? From a child, it's a 180 to, all right, man, my parents not perfect. And then when you're an adult, you go, okay, our parents are human. They're less than perfect. They're just human. Then when you start getting your own kids, you like, wow, if this all they had to do, they had to go through this. Like, nobody tells you, yo, I don't believe in bashing the opposite sex, right? I don't believe in, as a single parent, you bash your spouse that you had the kid with. But as children, we don't understand the dynamics of a relationship. We look at it far as our being here. It's like, all right, you have a mother and you have a father. At some point, they had to like each other to create me. At some point, something went wrong. Now they beefing, or now they not together. We not this happy family. Or like, you could be in a family and you see all the abuses going on, and you see whatever. But to us kids, it's like, yo, didn't y'all love each other at one point just to have me? And we got to start telling our kids, like, that's not what it is. Sometimes your mother or your father was a one-night stand. Sometimes I didn't really like her like that. I was it was a sexual thing, and you happened to come along. It wasn't like a planned thing. Sometimes, it's not, I never bash women, but sometimes a woman or a man may want to, but preferably a woman because she has to carry it. So this is why I'm aiming at them. Sometimes a woman may want to have a kid with an unworthy man because she may feel the kid will bring him to a light to where he'll act right. So she will be willing to put herself out there to get pregnant by this person who's may have been disappointing her throughout a time period, or she just feels like she's trying to stick with it just because she got pregnant. So it's certain relationship aspects that as kids we don't find out till we start going through these relationships ourselves when we're adults. You know what I'm saying? The relationship we have as teenagers in high school is I like you, you like me. We might go out 1 or 2 months and say we boyfriend and girlfriend, but then next week I'm going out with your friend, or the next week I'm going out with some other girl, and it's like that. But when we get out in this life and we start thinking, oh, financial broke us up, or yo, I met this girl and she lied to me. Or I met this man and he lied to me. He told me he was one thing. She told me she was this and that. And they got me hooked, and a year later they turned out to be somebody else. Or, yo, I love this person for what they are, but I know they ain't necessarily trying to do right by me. They may not be ready to. We were young. We were 20, 21 when we first got together, and we were still exploring life. So and yes, a kid came from it, but we were in position to be together as a family at that point because we were still young and we were still trying to live our lives. So it is so many things that when we're teenagers, our parents could have told us about why they are single, or maybe, even the fact that you may just be not a good person. Like, your mom's may just be an evil chick, you know what I'm saying? And no dude wanted to put up with her, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, they had a baby with her because she looked good at the time, but, they ain't necessarily wanted to be with her. But, like I said, there's so many relationship aspects and financial hardships that as kids, I'm not as a parent, I'm not saying to put that on your kids. I'm not saying, yo, I gotta work 2 jobs just to scrape by. I make enough that I can't get government assistance, but I don't make enough to have us living lavish. So I'm in the middle. We still in the hood, but it's hard to still navigate because I'm not making high echelon money. So we still live in the hood. Like I said, we need to start sitting down with our kids and feeding them this information, because when they start understanding and we keeping them sheltered, they're not wrong to feel how they feel. They're very much right. They have a right to feel how they feel toward their parents. Because I know for me, with my parents, I'm not saying I have the coolest relationship. I'm not saying I have the worst relationship. But as a parent now, I have a more understanding relationship of what they could have went through, or because I'm going through it, which I feel like that's the cycle. We try to shelter our kids at a point where they don't need to be sheltered. They need to be given more information. And like I said, even if you're not saying, yo, this is personal between me and this is why I'm working 2 jobs, but sit down and tell them, listen, this is why I want you to go to school, because you'll end up with a city job, and a city job is only paying this much. And if you live in this particular city, it's only going to get you this, because it's like you got to sit down with these teenagers and explain to them the finances, explain to them the relationships they'll be going through. So they're not adults and now it's clicking that, oh, this is why my mom and dad wanted me to do this. This is why they was doing that. Because as teenagers, we start being rebellious, because we start, like I said, we start living our lives and we want to fit into certain crowds and certain societies, and we start coming into our own. But if you're not allowing us to come into our own with the understanding of what is the reality versus or reality other than like, yo, this is how you act around cops because you're black or something like that, and they looking at you a certain way. The conversation needs to be more of how you are and why you are. And that's the only way we're going to break this cycle. And I believe we just stuck in this cycle that, you know, I'm going to do more for my kids than what my parents did for me, which is cool, but do more as in explaining and informing, and don't feel like you're burdening your kids. Because I know we all don't want to put the conversation of, well, I got to work 2 jobs just to get you some $150 tennis shoes. I got to work 2-3 jobs, or I got to work overtime just so you can have a new tablet, and you just out here breaking tablets. I understand we want to, like, oh, go do chores so you could have some type of idea of responsibility for money and earning it. But we have to do more than that. We have to have these conversations of real life, of, yo, listen, this is what rent is out here. This is what food cost is. This is what healthcare is. This is what car notes are. This is car insurance. This is life insurance. This is what clothes cost. This is if you want to have 2-3 kids or you single. This is what child support is. It's coming off the top. Like this is why you need to get an education so you could start. Maybe if you do start at an entry-level job, you start at a higher pay. Or this is why you need to start investing in stocks. Or this is why you need to work for yourself. Try to become an entrepreneur. And because, like I said, we only looking at it from a kid's point of view. And it's skewed because you're not giving us all the information. My parents didn't give me all the information. It was, go to school, don't worry about a job. I got the bills, I'm going to do this. But I'm like, yo, I'm not fitting in with the cool kids because I don't have the latest clothes and I don't have the latest sneakers. And I don't have no money in my pocket if the homies want to go out to the movies this weekend. I don't have a cell phone like everybody else is getting cell phones. I see you going to work. Every day you leave this house, you working however many hours you working. I don't really have a grasp of how many hours you work. If you working overtime, you getting paid such and such after overtime. I don't understand that, yo, you can't get overtime this month because business is slow. They cutting everybody hours. And so the little overtime money that you were getting before is not there no more. through the years, you not telling us this. So we don't grasp. We just see you go to work and come home. I need this. I didn't ask to be here. I'm your kid. I look for you to provide for me. I need this. I want this. And you just telling me no. You just telling me go to school. Don't worry about this. You don't need that. Your friends got. You ain't telling us the real. Where if you just told us the real, we could understand it. And it's not like we're gonna go out and feel like it's a burden on us. The burden is not telling us, and now we feel as if we got to go out here ourselves. Me in particular, I have many drug dealer friends growing up in the hood, right? I've never seen that route for me, so I didn't go that route. But the outcome is the same, because now when we have kids, I have a kid now, and it's the same thing. It's like I'm feeling like, yo, I'm not gonna go out here and rob to get my daughter the new LOL house. I'm not gonna go rob a bank. I'm not gonna go out here do something illegal that'll take me away from my daughter growing up. I'ma be more straight and narrow. Other people, if they see that's how they gotta go, that's how they gotta go. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they feel they have to do. I don't fault them for that. You know what I'm saying? I don't look at them any bad parents or lesser parents. Parents they see them as providers. If that's how they gotta get it, that's how they gotta get it. But we gotta start informing our kids of the reality of it. Start sitting down with them, breaking down the numbers, breaking down the relationships, breaking down the ins and out of the world, the reality. So when they start having families of their own, it's not this, oh, okay, this is why you may have did that. This is why. And let's not have these last minute conversations. Now I'm adult going through it. Now I'm talking to my parent about that. So this is why you did that. We could have been had these conversations. But listen, we just got to make it better. We got to start talking to our kids more about some real things. And just start informing them. Don't feel bad if you've been through some stuff. And like I said, talk to them about the vices you got. Talk to them about the financial. Talk to them about the relationship. And you don't have to just solely make it personal. Just make it informative of how the world is working. Thank you for entering the mind and bearing with my thoughts.